Billy, it's the Doctor. No, it's Matt. Yeah, come over here. I'm off. Off on my travels.
Yeah, alright.
What the bloody hell are you doing there?
I live here.
You live behind my TARDIS.
No, I live in it. I was just going for a pee.
I'm off. Off on my travels to see what really happens to Doctor Who in the future.
Oh! Right. Is there any room in there?
Well, you know, it's getting all a bit busy in there, you know, got the painters and decorators in, so,
Sure.
yeah, I'll see you later, and, you know, I'll let you know how I get on.
Cheers.
Bye.
Yeah.
They've cast a woman. Hello! Welcome back to another series of the Review of Death. Today, we have donned our Linda t-shirts.
We're supporting Linda.
We support Linda and the 10th Doctor and all that kind of stuff. And we're watching the Sontaran Stratagem and Poison Sky from 2008. Gosh, seems such a long time ago. We've obviously just celebrated 10 years since Doctor Who came back. And this was when Doctor Who was sort of in its stride, you know, it was at the height of its popularity since its return. You know, David Tennant was Doctor Who for many people.
I suppose arguably it hasn't got that successful since
No.
Tennant left, really.
No.
Which
It's got bigger worldwide with Matt Smith.
Yeah.
But I think here, in this country, I think it hasn't had the same impact.
Nowhere near.
So yeah, we were going to sit down and watch this story written by Helen Rayner, author of such crap stories as Evolution of the Daleks and Daleks in Manhattan. And we've actually recorded us watching it, so throughout this review you're going to see splices of us talking about it and bits and pieces like that.
Mm-hmm.
So let's get on. Let's say what did we think of this story?
I was very pleasantly surprised by it.
Yeah.
I'm surprised a lot of the viewers will be, especially when your reaction
Yeah.
to hearing we were going to have to watch it was just...
I remembered it being really bad and really hating it, but actually watching it, it's not a great story by any stretch of the imagination. Apple repeating away. It's not a great story by any stretch of the imagination, but it didn't offend me like certain stories. It wasn't one of those stories that just made me want to kill myself.
No, yeah, it's a rare thing, I think, in that era to find a story that actually... What were we talking about the other day when we were going through the episodes?
Yeah.
And I said, is there a story you think that will come up where you'll watch it and go, actually, that wasn't half as bad as I remember it being?
Yeah.
Would you say that qualifies for...
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't... Yeah, it's not brilliant, but it's okay.
Yeah, it's alright. It's a fair story. And there were some glaring mistakes in it, which were, you know, funny to point out. Only a couple of them, I think, were a real detriment to the story. The main one that we pointed out was Freemagiman's clone acting was very, very peculiar because, of course, she starts out stony-faced and just, you know, not giving anything away like the other clones do.
Yeah.
And then at some point, is it towards the end of part 1 or the beginning of part 2?
Yeah, sort of part 2, I think.
Yeah.
She starts acting more like a normal person.
Which was very weird to see.
And
Just watching them back to back, especially. Why is she acting
Yeah.
like Martha now?
Yeah.
So what do we do? Well,
She's supposed to be a clone. Why is she?
what? I just
I
wanted
know.
to find your phone.
Yeah.
No, what for? Gas. Come and stay inside. I will. Yeah, but what about Donna? I mean, where's she? Oh.
She's flipping heck.
Yeah, and then when we have the slow descent into, actually, I'm not really like a clone anymore. I have all your memories, and I share your empathy with the real Martha Jones, and I'm telling the real Martha Jones, go out and enjoy your life and do all the things you want to do. And it's sort of a bit like, what? The Sontarans, obviously this is the first time the Sontarans have returned to Doctor Who on television since 1983, I think. 84, one of those. It might have been 84 actually. And they, for the most part, they were pretty good, I think. Chris Ryan was fantastic. Chris Ryan
very, very good
is
Sontaran.
excellent, and I'm not surprised that they got him back for that little bit in Pandora Opens. It's just a shame that we haven't had a proper Sontaran story since, and it's a shame that we haven't seen him reprise his role as leading Sontaran. The costumes, although I have said in the past that I don't like those costumes, actually watching the story, I didn't think they were that bad. They looked pretty good. They looked all right. They looked like armour. Unfortunately, and you pointed this out, they aren't very practical in terms of movement, because you said that the arms are a bit like that.
Yeah, it's the shoulder pads, they're sort of restricted, and when Christopher Ryan lifts his arm up, his kind of neck ring sort of comes up in his face, and he's like, oh, I don't know. So, yeah, in a battle situation, I don't think they're very ergonomic or very practical. But, as a design, they're fine. The only problem we have with them is they're so fucking short.
Yes, it's the shortness is the real big problem.
If they were bulkier, I suppose maybe they might have been able to work around the costume a bit more and sort of had a bit more movement in it. But the fact of the matter is they're just too tiny. They're tiny. They're not even short. Yeah. Because if it's short is like, it's short. It's not too tall, but it's obviously quite small. Yeah. But these guys are tiny. Like in comparison to the unit soldiers, it's really silly. It's laughable, really. Yeah. And you only really get one Humpty Dumpty joke, and you sort of think, was it worth kind of ruining the design or just kind of shortening them to have a couple of really pointless crap jokes that only popped up now and again. There was a problem as well with the height, which was that they weren't consistently short. Yes. Some of them were slightly taller than the other ones, and for a warrior clone race, and in fact they really hammer the clone thing home in the story. And Luke even says, Luke Rattigan says, how can you tell each other apart? Yeah. Well, you can, because some of them are slightly taller than the others. And you were saying Dan Starkey's makeup job, because Dan Starkey appears in this story before he was Drax. And it's just and the way he speaks, the way some of these Sontarans speak in comparison to Christopher Ryan, who was fantastic. His makeup job was great. His goatee, all the little wisps of hair, the way he was fantastic. Yeah. And in comparison to him, the rest of the Sontarans really fell short.
Oh, dearie me.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
that was really weird. Go back on the thing. There's a weird line on the logo. Quick!
Play!
There we go, that was quite well timed. You've got Lisa went to the... That was really aggressive. Play!
Sontar. I don't like that. I mean, do you like...
I don't mind it. I think I think they sort of need a war cry. I just wish they weren't doing that. That's a bit stupid.
Yeah, it feels like a hacker. It feels like they're going to play rugby.
Yeah. Well, that's pretty cool. I think that looks cool.
I think the thing here is, and it's something that you get with a lot of monsters during the Davies era, is I actually think you get it with a lot of monsters in Doctor Who now anyway, is they need like a shtick that kids can replicate. So Daleks, exterminate. Yeah. Fine, fair enough. That's delete. Cybermen, delete. Doesn't quite work. Sontaran, Sontar. Yeah. Okay. I'm trying to think of what other monsters have we had that have come back, or just new monsters that have got. So I mean, I guess it's stuff like
Slovene's farting.
Yeah, farting Slovene. Whoa, what are you in the playground? I'm a Slovene. Okay. Yeah. And I guess you can push that forward to stuff like don't blink and if you look at them you'll forget they're there. Yeah. And listen, is it a monster? Yeah. No, it's not a monster. Yeah. It's all those sorts of things. TikTok, the TikToking of the clockwork droid. Yeah, it's all that kind of stuff. And I think it feels like they're really trying to push something that the kids can replicate. Yeah, I think,
well, I suppose that means that ties into this
Just
CBC
interrupting,
thing.
Just to say how shit these t-shirts are. Now, we got these t-shirts for free. Your t-shirt has a hole in it already.
Does it?
Yeah.
Oh my god, it does. Wow. That is cheap. Wow. Doesn't it say on the tag something like, these are the first t-shirts we ever made? If you look on the tag, it's some sob story about... He's still got his tag on.
I can't read it.
He got these for free from work, so we're allowed to take the mick out of them, because actually no, I'd take the mick out of them if I paid for them.
Yeah.
Because that'd be even worse. I think one of the troubles with this story seems to be that a lot of stuff seems to have been lost in translation between the script and the screen.
Yeah.
So, you know, the whole thing about Martha being emotionless or whatever.
Yeah.
But then again, that wouldn't excuse the fact that the lines were written in the script must have changed significantly between the two parts. So that's very clumsy to have made a massive whopper like that.
It's like the tone meeting. Everyone wasn't on the same page.
Yeah.
It's like they were all singing from different hit sheets here, and I think you can really see it. I mean, that was the thing we said. It's quite clunky. It's a clunky story.
Yeah.
Although you said it was sort of paced pretty well.
Yeah, the structure of the script was great. It was really, it was very nicely paced. I wasn't bored. I wasn't conscious all the way through it that it was 45 minutes long.
No, not at all.
I was very happy to sit down and watch it. It was a very well paced story, but in practice, I think everything else just doesn't quite gel together correctly.
Yeah.
You're sort of aware constantly throughout that. There's a battle of different ideas going through this story that it doesn't know if it wants to be a very straight Sontaran story, if it wants to be a comment on pollution, which is brought up at some point during the story, and one line and it's sort of dropped, but you are conscious all the way through that, well, it's cars belching out poison, toxins into the atmosphere,
fumes in the atmosphere, and you do sort of it feels kind of, not shoehorned, but it feels like they're really trying to paint it with this brush of pollution, like this is what this story is about.
But it doesn't mention it.
Yeah,
it mentions it once, and that's sort of it.
And we said it didn't really feel like a very viable threat.
No.
Like at the beginning, the opening scene is this woman. I mean, this scene makes no sense.
It's hilarious.
She's driving along with her sat nav. And she wants to go to Unit HQ. Now she knows where Unit HQ is because she says to her sat nav, "Oh, I don't need you." And then it says, "Oh no, you can't disable me." So she's like, "All right." So she's driving along, and then it takes her somewhere completely different. Well, she would know if she was driving along. She'd go, "Well, hang on a minute. This is the opposite direction of Tower Bridge." She
comes off a bridge, and it says turn right, and she turns towards a dock.
Yeah.
It's like, that isn't a road.
Yeah.
Why would you turn right there? If you've gone, you must have gone this way. Before,
because she knew Colonel Mace. She mentioned him, and she knew that where she was going. Yeah. So it is very strange.
No, sir. Nothing to report.
Oh no! He's working for the enemy.
Another weird thing with those Atmos things. Obviously, they're stuck to the car, and apparently wired through to make the cars drive somehow. But then they've got these needle things that come out, and then they've got gas. It's like, well.
Yeah.
Is it gas? Is it needles?
Yeah.
What's the point in the needles?
And what did he say about this exists in a different time zone? What was that? Like that? There was no question that
And since when have Sontarans had time travel technology?
Yeah, they even say we're the first Sontarans to have a TARDIS, and we're really excited about that. And
But never mind. We've actually managed to temporarily engineer these things so that bits of them don't exist in the same time as you.
It is weird.
It's
really, really weird.
Obviously, they just needed some techno babble, flibber, flabber, jabber, just to say, oh yeah, that's why no one's noticed that there's gas or needles.
It's sort of a thick techno babble episode, isn't
Yeah.
it? It's like they wanted to layer it full of all this, pollution, let's fight the, but it was sort of too self-conscious of the fact it was, we were saying, it felt like a CBBC show.
It really did.
And I don't know.
It looked like it.
And I don't think that Series 3 felt like a CBBC show. Maybe it is just, it's so bright.
Yeah.
The TARDIS is too bright.
When you compare it to the opening shot of the TARDIS in Rose, or something like The Unquiet Dead, the opening of that story, where it's basically green inside. It's really just it's just the time rotor, and then the lights are sort of flashing a little bit. It's very dark, and I think you get it like that a lot in Eccleston's era. But then it comes to this story. I mean, it's probably like that in stories before that as well. But for us watching it, it just seemed very striking. Like, oh wow, that's very bright. It's not even that bright of the Doctor Who experience.
Yeah, it's dark in there.
Yeah. So I don't know why they did that, maybe they thought because of the dark lighting on the Sontaran ship that everything was a bit too gloomy. I don't think that was really necessary.
No.
I also like the fact that their interior designers shop at IKEA with their nice
The little lights.
square lights at the top.
Yeah, the lighting was very peculiar in this. The colour scheme for this series was obviously purple.
Yeah.
Luke Ragan's shirt is purple.
The house outside at night time, that was always
lit up
purple.
And Tennant's suit is blue with the red, so it sort of blends in with the purple environment. It's a very peculiar mishmash of different designs that it did feel like a Sarah Jane Adventure story. And I don't know if that's because now, looking back on it, the budget seems to reflect that sort of CBBC budget. I don't know if, the budget may have been increased for Doctor Who nowadays, or it might have gone down, we just don't know.
Not sure.
But, it felt very pedestrianised. And we said didn't feel like something you'd see on TV at
7 o'clock, no.
Yeah, 7 o'clock on BBC One.
Because they said if you compared it to stuff that we'd seen before in Series 1 and Series 2, it just didn't feel like the same. Not that it wasn't the same programme, but tonally and visually, it just didn't look the same. You wouldn't blink twice if you'd flicked over to CBBC and this was on at 5 o'clock.
Yeah.
And we said about when he goes onto the Sontaran ship, he says, I'm going to ignite the atmosphere that the Sontarans breathe in. Well, hang on, they've been breathing on Earth in this story absolutely fine.
Yeah.
They've been breathing on Earth in the Time Warrior and Sontaran Experiment and the Two Doctors.
Yeah, fine. Yeah.
They weren't in Seville going, oh, it's so hot and I can hardly breathe. No. So it's a bit strange.
Yeah.
I did that whole atmosphere thing. It was just something they just needed to get way out of it, didn't they?
I think there was just a lot of loose ends they couldn't be bothered to. It had a lot of ideas that might have worked, in nice little strands.
Yeah.
And it's weird because as a two-part story, like I said, it's structured really well. Like the cliffhangers, they're pretty good. It knows where it's going in each part. It knows how to build the story up. But there are lots of weird little arcs and little things that are expressed that don't go anywhere. They don't lead to any resolution. It's sort of like it's the first draft of the script. Bits of the first draft have sort of smuggled their way into the lines in like a fourth or fifth draft. It's very polished. It's very clean. But there are lots of ideas that seem to be just dropped halfway through that don't come to fruition. What did he just say? Here, out the bloody way. We've got some Sontarans to deal with.
Sontarans. I said when we were watching it, it's something that the new series does a lot. Probably more so in the Davies era, is they really try and force you to feel certain emotions. Now, rather than good drama that just says, this is the scene, that this is what you're going to feel. This is like, no, you're going to cry. Murray Gold, get the violins out, and you cry, flashbacks to crying, and it's just like, we get the idea. It's meant to be sad. It's not really sad, and it just feels crass because of it.
I know, it just lumbers itself. It really ploddy and really. Oh, do we have to go through emotions?
It just feels sickly. Sickly and a bit sickening. I mean, some people are probably going to turn around and think, "Well, I cried. I found it really upsetting." Well, all right, maybe you did, but
for most viewers at home,
I think most people would have turned around and said,
they wouldn't like to have been spoon-fed
it's
emotions.
Spoon-feeding. It's spoon-feeding of emotions. And again, with like Catherine Tate, even her tears felt like cry on cue rather than actual emotion.
Well, again,
compared to someone like Bernard Cribbins, when he was getting teary-eyed, it felt natural.
Saying Bernard Cribbins was just excellent in this. He was just so cool. Like he is such a good actor.
He's excellent.
Very sorely underrated. Just superb. Absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, he's definitely the best thing to come out of that whole Donna Noble thing is Wilf.
Yeah.
Without a shadow of a doubt.
Certainly, yeah. What was the name of the character that said Ross? Was that his name?
Oh yeah, Ross.
Yeah, that was very weird, that development. Because he asks him his name and it's sort of like, why do we need to know his name? And then he dies later in part 2. And he dies so unceremoniously.
He's shot.
It's sort of like, his name was Ross. So?
Yeah.
We don't know who he... We don't care. You haven't shared an emotional moment with him.
Yeah,
really.
I mean, it's like we said with, in the Pertwee era, God, people were dying in left,
Yeah.
right and centre, and he wasn't...
Pertwee just walking through the battlefield,
Yeah.
scraping blood off his
Yeah.
boots, and,
Oh, bloody hell, Perkins, I just had these shoes.
I can strut in Perkins, Brigadier.
The gas! Tell us about the gas!
You bitch.
Right, let's do
Score
it. Oh God, I don't know.
Yeah.
I feel like I don't know. I feel like it was alright. I don't feel like I should give it a particularly low score. I don't feel like it's deserving of a very low score. It's not great. But we've said this about story. We've come into this expecting to go flipping heck.
Yeah.
And
I thought I was going to slip my wrists.
Yeah, we've come out of it going, alright,
It's alright.
it's okay, cool. Go on, you have to go first because I need to gauge my one.
Well, someone said to me on my recent figure review that, you gave Rose 6 out of 10. That was a bit harsh. I didn't think that was harsh. 6 is just average.
Yeah, I'd say a good story. If I was going to recommend it to a friend, it has to be 7 or above.
Yeah.
I'd say a good story. Like I'd sit down and watch that. Whenever.
Yeah.
A 7 or above.
And I'll be honest. So I don't think 6 was harsh. I think it's pretty average. It was run of the mill. Wasn't anything amazing. And I think that's probably what I'm going to give this. A 6.
Good. I was going to say exactly the same thing. I just didn't know if you were going to give it a 4 or anything.
No. It wasn't that bad.
No. It was fine.
It wasn't like Nightmare in Silver bad.
No, I gave that a 2.
Yeah.
I gave that.
I think I gave it a 1.
Oh, horrific that story. Yeah, but yeah.
Even Neil Gaiman says it's terrible.
Yeah. Well, he said he wanted to make it a 2-parter.
Yeah. The original idea for that story, it had Cybermen from the Invasion in it. For God's sake, the Invasion.
Yeah.
Oh.
Awesome. Absolutely.
And they didn't take their arms off and go running around like the bloody.
Like Crichton.
Yeah. From the eyeball.
Yeah. Oh, that'd be hilarious. Yeah. 6. It's completely passable.
Yeah.
I don't think I'd be upset if I didn't watch it again.
No.
But I enjoyed watching it. I actually thought it was pretty enjoyable to watch.
Yeah. That was the first David Tennant story I have watched since. Stolen Earth.
Yeah.
Wasn't it? Stolen Earth. That was the last
Yeah.
one I watched. Well, there we go. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you haven't taken offence to anything we've said.
Yeah, all the people who made the t-shirts,
All the
hope you
people who
weren't
made the
too offended.
t-shirts,
But
We will be doing... What are we going to do next, Billy?
it's well, we're going to film a Q&A.
Yeah.
And we're going to do a discussion video on
10 things...
10 things.
This is the 10 things that Doctor Who does good now and doesn't do good now. That we were going to do last time. So we're going to do that. That'll be quite a fun one, I think.
Yeah, there's plenty more stuff coming up.
Yeah.
Coming out soon. We're really excited about, and so that's all coming up.
Yeah. So, thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time. Cheerio!
It's a William Hartnell then. Cheerio! Bye. Stay warm.
Stay warm. So, we've just taken out Series 4 of Doctor Who, the box set. Now, I haven't touched this since I did the Stolen Earth Journey's end review, where I threw it out the window. And as you can see, it's quite thick with dust on top, which is quite bad. But more interesting than any of that is the fact that there seems to be a dead fly inside the slipcase. Not sure if you can get that on camera, but clearly this fly thought, I'm going to make a little home in there, realised that it was Series 4 of Doctor Who, and just thought, oh Christ, died. If I hold it that way, that might be better.
Like that? Yeah, that's fine. Yeah. Okay.
No, then I'm a bit cack-handed with the...
With the dialing.
Bloody Bruno, this is
It's
what
a
you're
bit of
supposed
pain.
to... This is why I pay you.
You didn't pay him. Did you pay him for this?
No.
No, of course you didn't. Right, okay. And action. No, that doesn't work.
Well, I'm off. I'm off to sea.
That'll be fine. That'll be fine. Leave it like that.
Oh, bloody hell.
It'd be hideously unprofessional if we started the recording and you were eating an apple.
So this is for the 8th Doctor who commented on the previous video. I don't rubbish reviews like this. Eating apples and talking with my mouth full. Wanker.
And action.
Oh dear.
Is there any room for?
Well, you know, I've got the decorators in, and it's all a bit busy in here, so I can't get the key out of the fucking lock.
Okay.
I can't get the key out. All right, next one. God, the doctor's daughter. That's quite what shit. God. What's with this with the new series? The Doctor's this is the Doctor, that of the Doctor. You never got that in the old. Well, you did. You had
Three
like
doctors and that.
3 Doctors. And
A holiday for the Doctor.
And a holiday for the Doctor. Or a Doctor who visits the dentist, as I like to call it. Let me try it the original way.
What was that?
Where I have my hand on that side.
Oh,
Hey. Okay.
that was magnificent.
Was that on camera?
Yeah.
Oh, brilliant.
Right. Is there any room in there?
Well, no. Oh, shit. The keys are the right way.
That's fine. That's enough. That's enough.